Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever it may be, and welcome to the virtual PATA Travel Mart 2021 and the first PTM forum for today. And today we're looking at the destination recovery insights from Pacific and Northeast Asia. Before we begin, let me first just introduce myself. My name is Paul Brancan, and I'm Director of Communications and External Affairs at the Pacific Asia Travel Association, and I will be your host for today. We have three great presentations from three great destinations. After the presentations, we'll then have a discussion and audience Q&A. So I do have a couple quick technical notes I'd like to share with you before we actually start today's session. I know many of you are very familiar with Zoom, but just as a refresher, at the bottom of your screen, you will see both a chat function and a Q&A function. For the chat function, please do feel free to say hello, where you're from, what you're doing. I already see some delegates and participants chatting away, so feel free to use that function to engage with other participants here today. However, if you have any questions for our panelists, please submit them using the Q&A function as noted on your screen. Please do not send any questions using the chat function. It's a bit too much for me to go back and forth between the chat and the Q&A to look for questions. So if you have any questions for the panelists, drop them in the Q&A. Just wanted one more note. Please do keep everything professional and cordial, both in the chat and the Q&A. And yes, we're here to learn and sort of have fun as much as we can. So if you can feel free to take any screenshots of today's session, share it on social media, use the hashtag PTM 2021 or hashtag PATA Travel Mart or hashtag PATA Events. You also can tag us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And with that, we've come to our first destination. Today we'll be looking at Guam, and with us from the Guam Visitors Bureau is the Vice President, Mr. Gerald Perez. Jerry, welcome.
Welcome, Paul. It's good to be back again, as you know, and Maria Helena knows. I've kind of retired, but when COVID hit and Pilar Laguana left for other pastures, I was pulled in to help out with the situation because of a dire situation. On Guam, for example, we had a record year of about little over 1.6 million arrivals. Let me get to that. First of all, this is basically what Guam is. For some of you not familiar, we're a tropical resort community of about 550 square kilometers, a population of 170,000. And last year prior to COVID, we were on record pace at 1.6 million visitors, 85 to 90% of whom come from East Asia, principally Japan and Korea. And our on-island spending at the time was about close to $950 million, but all in, including direct and indirect spending, the island was at that time enjoying roughly $200,000 per hour in tourism spending for a community of $170,000. So when COVID hit, we had like a 95% drop completely from arrivals, because it's like a spigot being turned off. So all this flow of customers from Japan, Korea, Taiwan, and elsewhere suddenly dried up to a trickle. So that's when we were asked to come on board to help outline a course of action.
Hey ho, on the road again, moving on. again. Grab his strong onward. Still stones won't take his course. Got the ball in a frenzy. It's the best of worlds, feeling like nothing can go wrong. You're the decider of the world, you get to know. 'Cause it's your heart, it's alive, it's pumping blood. And it's your heart, it's alive, it's pumping blood. In a whole wide world, it's whistling. Hey ho, on the road again. On a highway, on a highway. Hey ho, on the road again. On a highway, on a highway. 'Cause it's your heart, it's alive, it's pumping blood. It's your heart, it's alive, it's pumping blood. In a whole wide world, it's whistling. It's whistling. It's whistling. It's whistling.
So imagine, if you will, going from 1.6 million visitors to hardly a trickle, and over a 90 to 95% drop in arrivals and cash to the island. That's the very, very dire situation we found ourselves in right after COVID. So our path to recovery basically entailed three strategic initiatives. The first was to see what we can do to scale up vaccinations and try to achieve herd immunity. Prior to this, our effort had been to contain the virus as much as we can, contain the spread. But once vaccinations became available, that became our focus, scaling up vaccinations in the community to achieve herd immunity. The second strategic initiative is to work locally and prepare our destination for return of visitors, because after a year and a half of atrophy, it's apparent that a lot of the moving parts of the industry have been out of commission. So it was our job in the second strategic initiative to help develop the destination for when the turnaround takes place. The third strategic initiative is to have a comprehensive communication strategy aimed locally as well as our source markets. So our PR efforts are starting to pay off, for example, because we had to work with local clinics and public health officials to expand vaccination stations and even have vaccination clinics in hotels, shopping centers, public facilities, and various villages. We had a media campaign to reach different segments in the community, particularly the young ones who find difficulty or don't have an interest in getting vaccinated. And then we even did a Vax and Win lucky draw contest, including giveaway of 5 cars, $10,000 and other prizes, just to stimulate more people to become involved in getting vaccinated.
I received the COVID-19 vaccine because I trust in the science and I want to bring football and the economy back on island. Get up and move. Get vaccinated, Guam.
Get Up and Move fits in with the acronym GUAM, Guam. So some of the things we did in terms of Vax and Win is celebrated Liberation Day, which is the day that Guam was recaptured from the Japanese. It's a big celebration on island. At that time, we recorded as many as over 62,000 entries in this lucky draw. As a result of that, we were able to generate a lot of interest, and we've achieved herd immunity in July, where 90% of population over age 60 have become vaccinated. Think about that. 90% of people on Guam today over age 60 are vaccinated. At the younger age, 80% have been vaccinated over age 12. So in terms of the second strategic initiative about improving our destination, while we were locked down in COVID, we didn't go dark communicating with our source markets. And we have an acronym, GUAM, give us a moment. And during this period, we're encouraging our industry partners to spruce up facilities and secure WTTC safe travels designations, to renovate our parks and beaches, historical sites, encourage migration of the industry toward a more digitized environment. So we've instituted electronic customs and electronic health declaration forms today. And we also embarked on a digital academy training and webinars for the supply chain in the island, as well as educating our source markets about what's happening. And then at that time, we launched Give Us a Moment, GUAM, which is messaging for aspirational travel to keep us top of mind when they start desiring to travel. This is just an example of the Guam Safe, WTTC Safe Travels destination. The businesses that have this designation in their doors make the customers, both local as well as visitors, feel that they're entering a safe, COVID-safe business. So this is just an example of the electronic declaration form that we have, including the health declaration form. So now you can be processed through in a very touchless form, and actually very fast as well because of QR codes that are being scanned. And this is just an example of some of the programs we instituted in our digital academy. And this is a sample of the menu: e-commerce, understanding digital consumers, introduction of sustainable tourism, Japanese outbound travel, perspectives with Expedia, and so on. So this gives you a sample of the kind of digital training that we've rolled out in the meantime. In terms of our communication strategy, we had two basic audiences. The first audience is local, because we want to continue encouraging vaccinations. We want to continue to assure local residents of their safety when arrivals start to scale up. And then we wanted to promote a COVID-19 safe business practice in all the businesses on the island. Then for our source market, that's our second piece, is we're messaging our source markets on what we're doing to make Guam a safe destination, and share exactly what it is that is being done. And at the same time, encouraging them to make early bookings and encouraging airlift service to start scheduling for, for the island. In the meantime, while our industry is down, and after we've achieved a very safe local business environment with 80 to 90% of the population reaching herd immunity, we created what we call an Air V&V package to entice visitors to come to Guam from our source markets and get vaccinated here. And while they're here in vaccination, to enjoy the island while they're here. And we've done this proof of concept with Lion and Phoenix Travel and Eva Air out of Taiwan. And we ran this for about a month and a half, almost 2 months, generating basically almost 2,000 visitors, which is a lot more than we had with COVID. Even though this was focused on Taiwan, we are getting FITs from the Philippines, from Taiwan, from Thailand, from Malaysia, people coming to Guam because of this V&V program. Indonesia is another opportunity for us, and we've had inquiry from a private company who is interested in sending some of their customers here, because of the slow vaccination uptake in Indonesia, closer proximity to Guam in relation to going to the US mainland. Time and cost savings is important to this company, of course, and expanding to, and this company is expanding to the Middle East, and a lot of countries in the Middle East are requiring basically US vaccines like Pfizer and Janssen and Moderna, as opposed to other kinds of vaccines. And so the two biggest obstacles, however, that we've encountered in really driving up this Airbnb program is, number one, the onerous quarantine protocols that continue to persist in our source markets of Japan, Korea, and Taiwan. And secondly, the US government consulate office is still operating with COVID operating hours and have a heck of a time getting appointments to get visas. In a couple of countries, for example, visa appointments aren't even available until February or March 2022. So those are some of the challenges that we face in terms of really driving the Airbnb program. And I just wanted to share for the viewers where we are today, that only 42% of people in Japan have been fully vaccinated. In Korea, only 25%. In Taiwan, 12%. The Philippines, 3%. And so this low vaccination rate is what's compelling them to take advantage of our Airbnb program. At the same time, however, that our source markets, Japan and Korea, are improving their vaccinations. Once they reach a certain level, I think it's time for them to start scheduling trips to the island. So the slow scale up in volume due to low vaccination rates and restricted COVID-19 protocols are helping us. So what's next for Guam? Basically, staying vigilant in terms of COVID-19 containment, expanding as much as we can the Airbnb program to generate green shoots of business opportunities in the supply value chain of tourism on the island. And we have an air service incentive development program to grow airlift and to help support existing and new carriers as an incentive to strengthen their service to Guam. We're also starting to offer frontline travel sales incentives. And at the same time, locally, we're upskilling as much as we can the tourism workforce through training and a shift toward more digitized opportunities. So that's my presentation, Paul, and I'll obviously be happy to answer questions later.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Well, Jerry will be back with us after the final two presentations for the discussion and Q&A. So if you have any questions for Jerry and about Guam, feel free to drop them in the chat in the Q&A, and we'll be able to get to those questions later on in the session. So let me just share my screen here real quickly. So we heard from Guam, and we're going to stay within the Pacific region. And next with us from the Tourism Authority of Kiribati, he's the Chief Executive Officer. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Pitero Manufolau. Pitero, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Paul, and thank you to PATO for this fantastic opportunity to allow Kiribati, one of the smallest and emerging Pacific Island destinations, this platform to speak to valuable partners with regards to our own program in relation to COVID-19 and resetting tourism. Just give me a second, please, while I share my screen. Okay. Paul, can you, is my screen okay on the?
Yep, looks great.
On the platform? Okay. Well, once again, Kamapan and Melvin, greetings, partners from the central and northern part of the Pacific, the island destination of Kiribati. that sits both on the northern and the southern hemisphere, and also east and west of the international dateline. For those of you who may not know anything or know very little about our island destination, please allow me to start us off with a video to give an intro on what Kiribati is. Thank you. With Kiribati, simply put, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking, or if your clients are looking for a destination where time literally stands still, then Kiribati is probably that sort of destination. We are what the Pacific represented probably 50 years ago, and it's an experiential destination. So with our location, as I mentioned earlier, it's located on both north and south of the equator and on either sides of the international dateline. On your screen there, I've circled the three main islands of the group, with the Gilbert Islands on the left of your screen, where Tarawa, the capital, is located. On the center is Phoenix Island, which is home to the largest marine protected area in the world. And on the far east is the Line Islands. To travel from Tarawa from the Gilbert to the Line Islands, if you put it into the US perspective, it's almost like traveling from Los Angeles to New York. So you can imagine how widespread the islands are. And in terms of getting to Kiribati, we do enjoy, or at least we did prior to COVID, enjoy direct access from Honolulu. It's a 2-hour flight into our eastern port, Christmas Island. Into the capital city of Tarawa, we do enjoy flights from Brisbane, Australia, via the Solomon Islands and Nauru, as well as direct flights from Fiji with the Marshall Islands connected to Kiribati as well. So as you can see, we're right in the middle of the Pacific, with those limited access, but what that really guarantees us is seclusion and a destination that pretty much is away from it all. Why Kiribati? As you've seen in the video, we of course don't boast any of the exciting infrastructure that a lot of our neighbors have, but what we have is a pristine group of islands that feature some of the best fishing flats in the world. We do have a great surfing spot, and being located just south of Hawaii, we do get that benefit of the waves that are from the North Shore of Hawaii, and most of our islands are pretty much what's depicted there on the screen. They're literally untouched, undiscovered, and these are examples of the way we live our life. So it's a very simple, rewarding, and as I mentioned, it's an experiential destination for someone who's seeking something different in life, who wants to connect with the people, and also be one with nature. And that's pretty much what Kiribati presents. As a destination, we enjoy just short of 10,000 visitors in 2019, and that's quite a huge number for us, considering the population which we have of just a little over 100,000, and with infrastructure that's pretty much suited for that sort of number. COVID-19, like any other destination, and as my friends from Guam had shared, it did affect us as well. Probably not to the extent that Guam had, but nonetheless, we were affected. And what COVID has done for us is allowed us to sit back and just reevaluate our progress in terms of where we want to take Kiribati into post-COVID-19. So I will start with our vaccination program. At the moment, our borders are closed until the 31st of December 2021, and we're one of the only few countries in the world that have enjoyed zero COVID cases due to government's very strict travel regulations. And vaccination rollout is in full force right now. We have a total of 71,000 eligible citizens for the vaccine. And to date, we have completed a double dose of the AstraZeneca for 13,970. We're rolling out the next batch of 20% of our population into the eastern part of the country. And this week, we also received 60,000 batch of vaccine. So our target is to have the whole of Kiribati fully vaccinated by the end of the year. Government has not given any commitment of when they will open the date of our borders, but if vaccinations is anything to go by, then we're hoping that we will be open for business early 2022 once we've achieved the vaccination targets that we have. In terms of our restart program, we have laid out a few components to that, and the first one being a COVID-19 safety protocol for our tourism operators. Sustainable tourism is at the core of what Kiribati represents. Obviously, with the digital age and marketing, we're looking into digital marketing as a way of really getting ourselves into that global tourism platform. Tourism and investment promotion is a huge part of our role as well. Multi-mark program as well as capacity building. In the short to medium term, our priority really is to achieve destination preparedness, product readiness, and obviously the very important part of that is gaining market confidence for you, our travel trade partners, to learn about Kiribati and also to have confidence that you will be sending clients not only to a unique destination, but one that is safe as well. So with our COVID protocol, we had developed this late last year, and we'd rolled out our training for all our hotel operators. And like I mentioned earlier, because there's no date for reopening, we're using this as a tool to approach government to say that when you do achieve your full vaccination of your target population, tourism will be, the tourism operators are pretty much ready as well to welcome visitors under the new normal protocols. And as I've mentioned, sustainability is at the core of what Kiribati represents. We are what the Pacific was 50 years ago, and we'd like to maintain that. And as we welcome clients and travelers and visitors to Kiribati in the post-COVID era, these 7 goals are what's going to guide us into that period. Where sustainability is at the core for a very vulnerable destination, but still has so much to offer in terms of beauty and experience. Another key part of our program is getting our accommodation operators, including restaurant and bars, to be fully COVID compliant, and we're introducing a Merrimack program where we're assessing them based on safety, on sustainability, and on top of that, based on COVID protocol compliance. We acknowledge the fact that travelers visiting Kiribati will have a new set of expectations. I guess one of the challenges we have is teaching our people to engage or understand COVID protocols, because we have not ever experienced COVID. But that's an ongoing process for us, engaging operators to understand fully. And we will be rolling out a COVID protocol refresher course for all our tourism operators once government confirms our border reopening date. And also, as I mentioned earlier, with our digital marketing strategy, that will complement all these activities that we're doing to get the message out in terms of the safety of the destination, our preparedness to welcome guests under the new normal protocol, and also maintaining the sustainability that the destination is quite proud of. In 2019, we were given the destination approval status by the People's Republic of China. So that did come as a very welcome accolade. So we're hoping that would be an area that we'll be tapping into as well as our borders reopen, along with other destinations around the world. And because we're a small destination, and as would be expected, our focus is more on value over volume. And we present a destination that really values our seclusion, our exclusiveness, and really we are a destination that has yet to be discovered, and we're ready to share that with the world in a very sustainable manner when borders do open. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes my presentation from Kiribati, and I welcome any questions that any of you may have following this discussion.
Thank you very much, Peter O. Very interesting destination. I see some comments in the chat. People are saying it's a very beautiful and interesting destination. But yes, any questions you have for Peter O, please do drop them in the Q&A. He'll be joining us just after the next presentation for the discussion Q&A. So thank you very much. Let me just, if you can stop sharing your screen.
All right.
Okay, all right. So we've heard from 2 Pacific destinations, and now we're going to move more inland. And with us from the Macau Government Tourism Office, she's the director of MGTO, our good friend. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Maria Helena de Sena Fernandez. Helena, over to you.
Hi, Paul, and hello to all of our friends from near and far. Probably as we say, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Let me just share my screen, and we can kickstart the presentation. Okay. Well, today just would like to share with you a bit on our road to recovery. I guess the story is pretty much the same all over the world, and we're all experiencing a very difficult time, particularly in terms of tourism. In our case, I would count ourselves a little bit more, I would say, lucky, because we do have our one of the biggest markets in the world, China, right next to, well, actually we're part of China, and we have mainland just next door to us. That's why we have been able to enjoy, and I would say, not an easy road to recovery, but at least, gives us a little bit more confidence, of going towards tourism recovery. Just to let you see a little bit of the tourism situation, comparing our best year, 2019, to what we have now. If we look at 2019, we were enjoying about 39.4 million visitors in a day, in a year. with 18.6 million staying overnight and obviously 14 million using hotels in Macau. Come 2020, obviously, it was a very difficult year. First half of the year, basically, we were cut off from the rest of the world, even very difficult to travel between ourselves and mainland China without quarantine. So we ended last year with only about 5.9 million, out of which actually I must say that 3 million of these were done or were achieved in the month of January. So you can imagine January we had 3 million, and then the next 3 million were, the rest of the entire year. But we do see a slightly different pattern right now. We used to have, whilst visitor arrivals were down, overnight visitors as well as the hotel overnight guests, what we're seeing is compared to what we had before, people tend to stay longer. So for overall visitors, it's about 1.4 days now. And if we look at overnight stay visitors, it's up to about 2.8 days. So in fact, although coming less, but we're seeing that they're staying longer. This year, a slightly better year. So 4.72 million to July so far, out of which about 2.47 million staying overnight. So a little, more positives coming in compared to last year. So you can see visitor arrivals recovering. All recovering as in different parts. Hotel overnight guests, we have a lot. Besides the visitors staying in our hotels, interestingly, a lot of our locals are staying in the hotels as well, enjoying the facilities, particularly over the summer months. So you can see quite a lot of improvement there in terms of the hotel staying. We have a policy of more or less zero tolerance in terms of community COVID cases. There are certain cases which are imported, but then basically we do adopt a policy of zero tolerance for community cases. We just had a surge of 4 cases on the 3rd of August, and with that we performed a universal tests on on everybody to check if anybody is infected with COVID-19, and luckily out of the 700,000 people being tested, which is the entire population here, no further infections were detected. So that's why we are now starting to reopen again with mainland China. So as you can see, in 2019 basically we had 92% from Greater China area, 7.8% international market, and basically now with the current policies in terms of tourism, not allowing anybody else to enter basically from other countries, we're having basically 100% Greater China market. Hotels have been improving, so this year we're slightly better compared to last year, and still way behind what we had in 2019, but at least things are getting better. And as you can see, visitor expenditure is also improving compared to last year. And and I think that the non-gaming part is really improving quite a lot compared to what we had before we had COVID-19. In terms of tourism strategies and development going forwards, we're right now working very much with the Greater Bay Area, which is 9 cities within the Guangdong province, just next door to us, ourselves as well as Hong Kong. So we're working on multi-destination tourism, not aimed at the international market right now. We're aiming at other provinces within mainland China to come to our area. Next thing which we are doing, and hopefully this will be released before the end of the year, would be a revamped tourism master plan, looking at all the changes that has taken place due to COVID-19 and coming out with new projections and also new development policies in terms of tourism post-COVID-19. So this is something which we have been working on since the end of last year, and we hope to finish it by this month and release it before the end of the year. And also, of course, the Creative City of Gastronomy still continues this program. And this will be the first 4-year plan that we need to, first 4-year report, which we have to submit to UNESCO this year. Besides that, also, we are having an idea of, since last year, of developing what we call Tourism Plus, which means tourism plus any other activity which we believe can work as a cross-sector integration. with so as to push forward new developments. So since last year, we have been looking very much upon how we can integrate tourism with sports, tourism with MICE, tourism with cultural creation, as well as tourism with e-commerce, because that is a very, very important part of the revival strategy. Some of the tourism recovery measures, just to share, we have been looking at what we call precision marketing so far, trying to, first of all, very important message to spread to our target markets is that Macau is a safe and quality destination. It is healthy, and also it's very safe to come here. We have been able to restart some, but apart from online promotions, also offline promotions. So we have already held 4 mega road shows within Beijing, Hangzhou, Jiangsu, and Shanghai, the most important, I would say, outbound travel, cities, and also outbound travel provinces within mainland. We've also worked with in the Guangdong cities in terms of MICE and tourism promotions. So you can see these are already restarting. And all in all, the messages that we have been promoting is that there are new things in Macau, and although there is a new normal, Macau is a very safe and healthy destination. As I said just now, we've been engaging very much on online and social media within the mainland, particularly. So all the different platforms that you can use within mainland China, the Douyins, the Weibo, WeChats, and everything, so different messages going out. And we've been, besides the official messages, we've also been engaging with a lot of key opinion leaders, both within the mainland and using our own local Macau residents to post different social messages and to tell everybody within the mainland that Macau is safe to come to. Besides that, also since last year, we have been doing, we've been aiming at our local population to help revive tourism as well. So we launch programs like what we call the Stay, Dine, and See Macau project, which is a local tour project for locals with subsidies from the government. And then there are staycation packages, which are also subsidized by the government, aimed at the local residents to actually use our local hotels and spend there, and also make sure that the tourism sector receives the benefits from all these local tours and staycation packages. So as you can see, altogether this year, 69,000 of our population have been engaging in local tours and also hotel staycation packages, which helps the tourism industry to on the road to recovery. Besides, we have also launched new tours because right now with mainland China, we have been restarting what we call the FIT tours. And that's why there are now new products in Macau, which we hope that our visitors from mainland can engage in. So there are tailor-made itineraries besides packaged itineraries for them. And just lately, we've launched this light rapid transit pass, a 3-day travel pass, which the air passengers flying by Air Macau into Macau can exchange for. So they can just come in and take this pass and go around around the area using enjoying free rides for 3 days. So well, that's all that I'd like to share right now. Open for questions, and obviously what Jerry and also and Petro mentioned just now, we are engaging in of course the vaccination program as well, and hoping to restart tourism with other parts of the world very soon. So thank you very much, and well, glad to take questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Helena. You can stay, just stop sharing, and I'll invite Jerry and Pedro back so we can go into a quick panel discussion. I think we only have 10 minutes here, but want to try to get just a couple of questions on my end here. It was actually great to hear from Pedro about, from Jerry about their advocacy for getting vaccines. I would just like to know from Pedro and Helena, have you guys been doing any sort of advocacy in that regard, like pushing vaccines for the local population? Have you been a part of that with the government? Helena's nodding her head. So Helena?
Well, in the case of Macau, obviously we have a vaccine program going on since last year. well, so since the beginning of this year, in fact, when the vaccines we bought the vaccines last year and they were delivered early this year, and we started, the Health Bureau started with that. The government is not forcing, the population to get vaccinated. However, the private sector is actually offering a lot of incentives. So different employers, they're offering things like, lucky draws or even straight cash incentives. Some are offering, a day off, for those who get, for every jab you take. So yes, the private sector has been giving quite a lot of vaccination incentives. Right now, I think we're up to slightly less than 50%, vaccination rate. So still pushing forwards. And but yes, I think going forwards, vaccination is a very important part of the recovery.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the foundation for recovery, right? And we can't talk about opening travel without having our populations vaccinated.
Right.
Peter, what about Peter? What about yourself? What about your organization?
Well, thank you, Paul. For Kiribati, we've been very fortunate that the Ministry of Health has been very effective in getting their vaccination program rollout, that it hasn't really required any sort of incentive program. And from where we see, the population has been quite receptive to vaccines, even to the extent that some are requesting extra doses because they think they feel good after they get vaccinated. So that's been very positive for us as a destination, that there's more acceptance, or population is more receptive to the vaccines here.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I guess because it's not just vaccinating your local populations, but also from vaccinations for their source markets, right? Which will be extremely important on getting, as Jerry
Yes.
pointed out, the numbers from Japan and Korea, and of course Chinese Taipei, those numbers were low, but if those numbers are higher, it makes it for an easier opening, and less onerous quarantines when the travelers return home. We have a bunch of questions here, so I just want to jump right into them, so we try to get all of them as possible. So this first question is from William Ma from, this is for Jerry. He says, "Hi, Jerry, good presentation. My question is whether State Tourism Board pays for upskilling or the travel industry."
Well, for the most part, we provide the free distribution of the educational medium, and it's for members of the industry that are members of like the Visitors Bureau or the Guam Hotel and Tourism Association. If these companies are members, then their employees and their management can participate free of charge. Those that are not members can participate with a minimum stipend.
All right, thanks. And move to the next question here. This is for Helena. I guess the $1 million question then for Macau is when Macau is open for international travelers.
Oh, that's a $1 million question. I'm actually telling my colleagues from different parts, saying that right now it seems like it's not the director of tourism who's going to decide which market we're going to engage with. It seems like it seems more like it's the director of health is going to decide which market we're working on. So we're working very closely with the Health Bureau. We also manage the quarantine hotels as well. So yes, it's very, very difficult to say. Not forthcoming for this year. We're not even open to Hong Kong without quarantine at this point in time. So we've just restored our COVID-19 test requirement for air travel and for land border travel to 7 days. Just since yesterday for air travel as well. So it's still a lot for us. It seems to be still a long way until we can reopen for international traveling.
Yeah, I assume most destinations are we're being directed by the health ministries and of course safety and security, right? I mean, right now, of course, what should be is taking care of the local population. So I completely understand that, and that's what makes it difficult for a lot of the organizations here to answer that question. So let's move to the next one. Here is I'll start with the question is from Winks. How do you see or treat family traveling, seeing that kids below 12 years old are not fit for vaccines? Jerry? Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part, we don't have very many people come for our Airbnb program with little children, but occasionally we do have them. And first of all, to take advantage of that program, several things have to happen. First of all, a PCR test 72 hours before arrival has to be taken. And if you're negative on arrival, then you're admitted to the island quarantine-free, which means that you can take your vaccine the next day and then stay as long as you can. The way it works here, some people stay and then leave and then plan to come back for the second shot. Some people actually have had like a first shot in Taiwan, and since they have to wait a long time for their second shot, they come to Guam for the second shot. And some travelers, and the hotels really love this group, is they come for the whole 2.5 to 3.5 weeks stay so that they can get their first vaccine and second vaccine. When they come with children, the children aren't given vaccine unless they're 12 and over. Under 12, of course, it's up to the parents, but they can come and we take care of the parents, and the parents stay masked and are responsible for making sure that their children under 12 are taken care for appropriately. But for the most part, if you're vaccinated or if you have a PCR negative test, you can come to Guam quarantine free, which means that you can enjoy the island and go about doing things. And that's one of we got so much earned media free publicity in Taiwan just by these customers texting their friends back home or Instagramming back home what they're doing second or third day after they arrive on the island, and so forth and so on. Our problem right now is it's not scaled up yet to a very financially viable level for all the other supply chains to really participate in. For example, we have a trolley system in a lot of our places. The Bureau is subsidizing this trolley system so that they can operate and take people around the different businesses and the different attractions because it's not scaled up yet to a financially viable operation. So we're subsidizing it, at least to give a semblance of some sense of normalcy in the industry.
Well, thank you very much, Cherry.
Your question, but
very comprehensive answer. So thank you so much. Pedro or Helena, do you want to add to? You want to provide any inputs on that question? Helena's on mute.
Oh, sorry. Well, I think it's just simply said. I believe every country, every region, or every city kind of has a different take on it. In our case, right now we do not require, even from mainland China, we do not require that they have taken their vaccines to enter Macau. What is required right now is the PCR tests. And as I said, we've just restored the PCR test validity to 7 days between ourselves and mainland China, whether you come in by air or on land. For other places, basically, even for Hong Kong or even for Taiwan, for Chinese Taipei coming into Macau, they need to take the PCR tests to fly in, but they still need to quarantine. So it's for international travelers, basically, they're not even allowed to come into Macau. So I guess every city right now, or every destination has a different way of handling the matter. There is no international adopted common practice yet. So I guess in the future there might need to be some common ways that we need to find in order that international travel can restore.
Yeah, that's right. And I think IATA and a few other organizations are trying to develop something along those lines, but you're quite right, Elena. It really would be convenient for international travelers if there's a way to systematize that, authenticate it, and make sure that there's no counterfeiting involved in that stuff. but it's obviously a very difficult road that is still being hoed.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that's one of the biggest challenges, right? The standardization of guidelines and to be accepted worldwide. Vaccine passports and which vaccines. I mean, it's an extremely complicated issue, and I think right now people are just dealing with right now just getting their local populations vaccinated and dealing with the waves, especially in this region. Peter, I know your destination is not open, but do you want to add into that or?
Well, I guess with regards to that question, that's a discussion that's to be had with our health authorities once they make a decision on when borders will reopen and when we start discussing protocols. But I thank the question because I guess we've really been focusing on those that are vaccinated. We haven't thought much of the ones that are under 12 that it's not vaccinated, and that will be an important part of our protocol once we start engaging with health authorities in terms of planning for reopening.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We ran out of time, but and I'm sure we can talk more because there is actually a networking session after this. My colleague will drop that link in the chat. So I do invite all the speakers. I know Helena has confirmed she will be there. And so thank you so much. Thank you for all of you for sharing a little bit of insights into your destinations. We can continue this conversation in the networking break. So I will hopefully see you there. And once again, thank you so much. And I'll just do a quick wrap up before we move to the networking session. So thank you, Helena, Jerry, Peter.
Our pleasure.
Okay. So, as I said, thank you, of course, to our three speakers from Guam, Kiribati, and Macau. And thank you for all of you for joining us for today's session. As I said, there's a networking break right immediately after this, so please do join that now. You can scan the QR code that's shown on the screen. As I said, my colleague has also put the link in the chat, so you can just click on that and you'll move right into the networking session. And just next also at 1 p.m. This is 1 p.m. China time, GMT +8. There's walk-in meetings for buyers and trade visitors and media. You can also visit any of the booths, the virtual booths from Guam, Kiribati, and Macau if you have any questions that we weren't able to get to. So please do go visit them during the walk-in meeting session from 1 to 2 p.m. We also have later this afternoon, our destination tour operator and DMC Insights Exchange and product briefing. So we'll be hearing from Sabah, Sarawak, Asian Trails, and Discover. So please do join me for that session. That is at 3 p.m. GMT +8. That's 3 p.m. China time. So I also like to thank our sponsors and Lushan, and of course our official event partner SCITE, and our official virtual platform partner Dragon Trail, and our contributing partners, as you can see there. Sorry, I'm trying to go through quickly. Any questions about this session, feel free to email me. My email is right there on the screen. It's paul@potter.org. Any other information you want about the website, please do visit. Any information you want about PATA, please do visit the website at www.pata.org. And with that, that's the end of the session. So thank you again to our speakers. Thank you for all of you for joining us. And as always, thank you to our members, partners, life members, chapter members for your continued support. None of this would be possible without that. So I will see you at the networking break right now.